All right. Thanks for joining us today. My name is Brad Young, and I'm the Daviess County Sheriff. And what I like to do is I'd like to introduce the people behind me, because each of these people either played a key role in this investigation or represents an agency that did. Over here on my right is my Chief Deputy, Nick Roby, CID Commander Jeff Payne, Patrol Commander Dwayne Harper, County Attorney John Barlew. This is Kelsey Skaggs. She was the lead investigator on this case. And on my left is Ohio County Sheriff Adam Wright, Whitesville Mayor Patsy Mayfield, Assistant Chief for Whitesville, Chad Underhill, and Derek Mills, who is the Whitesville Fire Chief. Unfortunately, Daviess County Fire Chief Eric Coleman was not able to join us. I'm going to start with a summary of this case. I'm going to read a statement here for about, I don't know, it might seem like forever, maybe 5 minutes. And then we'll get into some questions. And if you have any questions for anybody behind me, just ask them, and if they're able to answer it, they will. But bear in mind, this is still an active investigation, so we may not be able to answer all of your questions in a lot of detail. At 4:59 p.m. on Wednesday, August 13th, Owensboro Daviess County Central Dispatch received a call of a medical traumatic injury. That's when someone's been injured and they're not sure of the details. They send fire and rescue personnel. The location was in Whitesville, Kentucky, at a business called the Rooster's Crow in the 11,000 block of Kentucky Highway 54. Ambulance and firefighters from the Whitesville and Daviess County Fire Departments responded. Upon arrival, based on statements made by the victim, firemen and firewomen determined the injuries may have been caused by a criminal assault, so they called for the Daviess County Sheriff's Office to respond. Daviess County Sheriff's Office 2nd Platoon patrol deputies responded and spoke with the alleged victim. They secured the crime scene and requested detectives from the Criminal Investigations Division to respond. A canvass of the area was conducted by deputies and detectives who spoke with neighbors of the business, and evidence was collected at the scene. The alleged victim was taken to Owensboro Health Regional Hospital Emergency Department to be treated for her injuries after being treated on scene by firefighters. Based on statements the alleged victim made to detectives, a criminal investigation was opened, and it was assigned by Captain Jeff Payne to the General Investigations Unit and Forensic Investigations Unit, with Detective Sergeant Kelsey Skaggs being designated as the lead investigator. During the early stages of this investigation, to help ensure the safety of the public, extra patrols were coordinated for the city of Whitesville by the Daviess County Sheriff's Office and Kentucky State Police. The public was asked to share any information that they had that may have been helpful. Detectives received numerous tips and a lot of information. Detectives also requested video from the area and received and viewed video from multiple sources, such as household security cameras, vehicle dashboard cameras, and videos from school buses passing through the area. Based off the information received and the video evidence, detectives quickly were able to narrow down a window of interest to a 1-hour period taking place between 4 p.m. and 5 p.m. on August 13th. As the investigation progressed and interviews were conducted and videos were reviewed, detectives were able to further narrow that window down to less than a 10-minute time frame of 4:50 p.m. to 4:59 p.m. This investigation was initially focused on various serious crimes alleging assault first degree, rape first degree, and burglary, all perpetrated by an unknown male subject who had entered the building, carried out his attack, and left during the 10-minute time frame. The report of this attack quickly gained widespread attention. It became the main focus of this office and many of our partner agencies as we gave it our complete attention. Because much like the people of Whitesville, Daviess County, and Ohio County, we were very concerned and very eager to bring a perpetrator to justice. As time progressed, like many of you, we began to hear reports from people that they were afraid to leave their house. People who go on walks in the evening did not want to go outdoors, and other outdoor activities became concerning. People were buying alarm systems for their homes, and disturbingly, people were becoming suspicious of others based on the type of vehicle they drove or other various physical characteristics they possessed, all based off rumors and misinformation being circulated by word of mouth and online. Several days into the investigation, detectives began to realize that information obtained during the canvass of the area conducted on the night of the alleged attack, and evidence collected at the scene of the crime did not support the allegations made in the report. Additionally, a medical exam conducted at Owensboro Health Regional Hospital following the attack did not substantiate several portions of the allegations made by the reporting party. The alleged victim came in for additional interviews in an attempt to clear up some of the inconsistencies, and the investigation continued with detectives and deputies conducting dozens of interviews and following up on every lead that we received, including interviews with people who were named as suspects in both Daviess County as well as Ohio County. Let me be very clear about something. Detective Sergeant Skaggs and her fellow detectives worked this case nonstop, in the evenings and on the weekends, to find the person responsible. Additionally, the DCSO drone unit and canine unit, the Owensboro Police Department Crime Scene Investigations Unit, and the Ohio County Sheriff's Office were all engaged at various times to ensure that a proper and thorough investigation was conducted. Yesterday afternoon, at the request of lead detective Sergeant Kelsey Skaggs and our investigations commander, Captain Jeff Payne, the alleged victim came to our offices for an interview. During this interview, and with her attorney present, she was read the Miranda warning. She agreed to speak with detectives, and during this interview, she was confronted with inconsistencies that had been uncovered during this investigation. Ultimately, she did admit to detectives that the attack did not occur, and that she had caused her own injuries and staged the crime scene prior to the report being made. To ensure that the case was complete, and to ease anyone's mind that may otherwise have doubt in this development, she was asked by detectives about specific portions of her report, to which she provided details that would not have been known to anyone else. Again, this took place in the presence of her attorney, and I can confirm that in addition to the physical and technical evidence that was compiled, coupled with her detailed statement admitting that she lied, this attack never took place. Following the interview, the original assault case was closed as unfounded, and a warrant for her arrest was obtained from the Daviess County Attorney's Office. At 9 o'clock this morning, the alleged victim, Kylan Edge, surrendered to detectives and has been charged with falsely reporting an incident to law enforcement. Following her arrest, she was transported and lodged in the Daviess County Detention Center. The Daviess County Sheriff's Office would like to thank the public for their outpouring of assistance and support during this investigation. It is not the result that any of us expected several days ago, but I am glad to report that, for one, a young woman was not attacked in our community. Two, there is not and never was any danger to the public. And three, that the truth was able to be uncovered. I would like to thank the following people for their assistance: Detective Sergeant Kelsey Skaggs of the Daviess County Sheriff's Office, and all of our detectives and patrol deputies. Daviess County Attorney John Burlew, Commonwealth Attorney Mike Van Meter, Whitesville Mayor Patsy Mayfield, who actually was one of the first responders to arrive on scene because she's also a firefighter. The men and women of Owensboro Daviess County Central Dispatch, Sheriff Adam Wright of the Ohio County Sheriff's Office, Chief R.D. Elam of the Owensboro Police Department, Post Commander Captain Brenton Ford of the Kentucky State Police Post 16 and all of his troopers, the firefighters of Whitesville and Daviess County Fire Departments, the staff of the Owensboro Health Regional Hospital Emergency Department, who, when you bring someone in who has possibly been sexually assaulted, take their job very seriously. New Beginning Sexual Assault Support Services, Superintendent Charlie Broughton and the Daviess County Public Schools Transportation Department, who provided information. And finally, the Kentucky State Police Forensic Laboratory. Each of these agencies I just mentioned offered unlimited support and assistance when this first came out. I can assure you with absolute certainty that this case is proof that all of these people would stop what they're doing and do everything in their power to help us bring in a suspect if an attack like this ever were to occur. And lastly, I would like to acknowledge the members of our media who have treated this office with patience and grace as we worked this investigation. We all had an interest in alerting the public of what was going on and finding the truth. Thank you for being the professionals that you are. All right, that is our statement, but I'm sure you have some questions, so yeah, Jim.
You mentioned actually the hospital exam, but she talked about being struck in the head hard enough to knock her out. What were the extent of her head injuries?
Of course, you understand we're not medical professionals up here. Nope. However, I will tell you my understanding of that and what I recall from seeing the report. She did state multiple times in multiple interviews on the record that the attack began when an unknown person bashed her head into the wall until she lost consciousness, is the phrase I remember her using. There were no injuries to her head that were visible. The medical staff that examined her ran multiple tests to determine if there was any internal injuries as well. And their final report, which assisted us, it was one of the first inconsistencies we uncovered, determined that there was no way she lost consciousness and no way that she had suffered a head injury.
I'm sure some of the others have questions.
How'd you come up with the charge, and what were there not other charges?
So our main objective shifted from finding the attacker to putting this behind us because it got the community, a lot of community involvement. Like I mentioned in the statement, probably the most concerning part was when people began to question each other. I know Sheriff Wright had some of that happen in Ohio County. So we did work with her attorney to come up with something that we could live with, where she could be held accountable and face justice, and also admit that she was wrong. And that was our main focus.
Is false report a misdemeanor?
This version of falsely reporting is a misdemeanor, yes, sir. There is a felony version, but this is a misdemeanor she's been charged with. Yes.
And when she admitted that she falsely accused about what was happening, did she explain why she kind of did what
motive? We did not get very far into motive. It wasn't really germane to what we were trying to do. You know, I think had we continued to question her about why she did it, I don't know that we ever would have found out. That's for her to tell people. But we're just happy with the resolution that we have now. Jeff, is there anything you want to add to that? Kel? Okay.
At what point did y'all switch to starting to look at her as a suspect versus the other way around?
So that's one of the hardest things to do in an investigation, especially a sexual assault investigation, because you do want to believe. So many women and men that report a sexual assault are not believed. In law enforcement, we've struggled with that for years. Our training now reflects, and there's a lot of KRS that reflects that you do believe them. And so that is something that we work very hard on. I can tell you right now that when the reports would come to my desk and I began to kind of have some questions, Detective Sergeant Skaggs was the first one to tell me, no, we're still looking into this. And so that kind of, I would kind of back up and she would make sure that everybody was still doing what they're supposed to be doing, which was investigating this possible sexual assault and vicious attack. I will tell you though that in the last few days though, when more evidence began to come up that we just could not see around, is when we decided that we were going to need to ask her about some things, and it kind of went from there. So the last few days.
How vital is security and video footage to solving?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. When I first started in law enforcement 20 years ago, and some of these people have been doing this longer than I have, there was no video. You just had to go off of whatever you had, unless it was like a gas station or a liquor store or something. Video's everywhere now. I think I was actually pretty surprised by how much video we received, especially for such a remote part of the county. I mean, this didn't happen in the middle of town. This was, very near the county line. So yeah, it is vital. It's very helpful. That's how they were able to, one of the ways they were able to narrow the timeline down so far. We went, just in a matter of a few days with the public's assistance, we went from an hour to a very narrow time frame. So it's very important.
Can you also talk about the ability of your different entities to work together?
Yeah, we're a team. We're the sheriff's office, and we work hand in hand with Kentucky State Police every day. Our brothers and sisters at the various fire departments, we all work together. They were first on scene. They knew exactly what they needed to do, and they did it. They respect, when they realize it's a crime, they respect the crime scene, and that helps us later on. The Owensboro Police Department was calling that day, asking what they could do to help. So, we do. Everyone works together, and I think that's what the public needs to understand about something like this, is that we all want to work together, and we all want to succeed at solving a case. So,
you mentioned that there was never a threat to the public, and you also touched upon the fact that some people were even pointing fingers at one another. Can you kind of share a little bit with those people, that were doing that were kind of spreading a little bit of panic? Anything you want to share with those people?
Sure. I don't fault them at all. Everyone was trying to help. People were trying to help in any way they could. Most of them were responding to false information going around about a physical description of someone that we didn't put out. We weren't looking for that person, but then messages began coming in that, hey, a guy that matches the description, but detectives went out and talked to them. I know they spoke to people in Daviess County and Ohio County. The Ohio County Sheriff's Office helped with that too. They received calls. Whitesville's on the county line. It's on the Daviess side, but there are several people on the Ohio County side that they shop in Whitesville. They work in Whitesville. They go there. So his assistance was invaluable to that, because we were spread pretty thin. We have 8 total detectives, and pretty much how many were dedicated full time to this with you? 3?
Yes.
So three working full time on this for the last 2 weeks. So I don't fault anyone for calling in that information. I certainly don't want to discourage people in the future. It's how a case works. People call in, and however, those were. That's part of the damage that was done. People were, whether we weren't necessarily accusatory when we talked to them, but they may have felt accused. It scares them. Oh, you're looking at me for this? I didn't do it, and we know that. So this is just one of the many reasons that I'm glad that this case was investigated the way it was, and that it's over. Yes.
If I remember the report correctly, someone came into the shop and found her face down the floor. What I'm getting at, is there somebody else involved with this, or other people that you believe were involved? No, absolutely not. The gentleman that found her was a customer. He was there to check on an order. She was not expecting him, and when he found her, he called the police, just like you would expect a good citizen to do. Stayed with her. The fire department, the Whitesville Fire Department, got there very quickly. Do you all any idea how long?
It was
Minutes?
yeah,
Probably. Yeah, within 5 or 10 minutes they were there. So he was one of the first people that they spoke with, and they were able to clear him very quickly, and he was actually very helpful.
Sheriff, if I could
Yes.
throw your question. I don't
Yeah, Judge.
want to catch it off guard, but I'm just curious. I know sexual crimes are sexual attacks, I think, are underreported
Yes, sir.
in our community and across America. You mind speaking to those who might think that this sets
Sure.
that back?
Absolutely. Yeah. His question is, what do I have to say to people who are experiencing sexual violence or have in the past and are afraid to come forward? And maybe this incident of us, arresting the person that came forward, would that affect them? And the answer is yes, it probably would. It is very hard to report a sexual assault. We have multiple resources and laws in Kentucky to protect sexual violence victims. I would urge anybody who has experienced a sexual assault to go to the hospital to report it to them. They will not call us unless the victim asks them to. Because sometimes people aren't sure they're ready for all that, but they do need to make sure they safeguard their health, and that they're able to capture vital evidence. The sexual assault nurse examiners will capture all the evidence that we need. They will store it at the hospital for as long as it takes for us to come get it. And sometimes they never call. Sometimes people just don't come forward. But what I would tell them is that do not let this become an obstacle for your healing and your pursuit for justice. Our sheriff's office, for the size that we are, we have tremendous resources for investigating sex assaults, and it's something we do a lot. So if you, do not let this get in your way, basically. And it's also, they do bear the brunt of these things, but it's also another good reason for us to make sure that we prosecute this person for what took place. Does anybody have any questions for anybody else?
Hey, Sheriff, was this person the owner of this business or employee?
Yes.
Owner? Owner of the business and the establishment, or she leased the establishment, or?
Leased.
Okay, so she was a tenant of what was the old Black Cat Saloon, and but she was the business owner, the Rooster's Crow. Still is, I guess.
And
Yes,
you
sir.
care to repeat that first name again one more time?
Her name? I have a sheet for you all with all that information. My administrative assistant will pass out to you a copy of her warrant, her citation, and a brief fact sheet with some of the pertinent information. Oh, no, they're not.
So to be clear, she came in voluntarily, sort of to an arrest, or did y'all have to go out and get her?
Yeah, the way it was arranged through her attorney was that we would give her an opportunity to come in and talk to us, and she did. She came in and talked. Detective Sergeant Kelsey Skaggs and Captain Jeff Payne both interviewed her that final time, and got to a point where she was able to set the record straight. Like I said, provide very specific details that would not have been available otherwise. And we'd already coordinated with County Attorney John Burley's office that once that happened, she would be allowed to go home to kind of, decompress and take time to prepare herself. That while we got an arrest warrant through his office, the arrest warrant was signed, and then we asked that they return to our CID offices at 9 o'clock this morning to surrender, knowing that she would be taken to jail. And served the arrest warrant. A transport was arranged by Captain Harper from the Patrol Division. She was taken to Daviess County Detention Center.
You said, I think it's an ongoing investigation still, so are there possibly more charges?
It is. There's still a lot to wrap up. It became important, I think, from a public safety point of view, to do what we could to put it to an end. But the detectives will still be investigating. It will not be the primary focus of our office. There's other things taking place that we need to circle back to, and things coming in every day. But there is, just cell phone data alone takes a long time to go through. So, she is innocent until proven guilty. I think everybody understands that. So we still have to work on this case so that if County Attorney Burlew ends up in a trial, that we can, we can prove to a jury what took place.
Hey, Sheriff, I don't know if this is for you or the county attorney, but with the time that you guys spent on this and hours, will you guys be seeking any kind of monetary reimbursement?
That's a good question. It is something we considered, but in light of her cooperation, no. We won't be asking for that. That's what we talked about.
I didn't know that. That's fine.
Okay.
I can tell you that the statute allows for it.
Do you want to come up here?
Sure. The statute that we charge this lady with specifically allows for restitution to the agencies. And I was told that it might have amounted to around $10,000. I don't know, but I know that a lot of resources and time were spent on this investigation. But if the sheriff's office doesn't want to collect it, that's fine. Then we won't collect it. So
What would the range of jail time be for this charge?
it's anywhere up to a year in jail and/or a $500 fine.
So that's Class A, John?
Yeah. Class A misdemeanor.
Not to get into motive or anything, but one of the things you mentioned was it was initially investigated as also partially as a burglary. I remember initially there weren't any reports of anything taken, but did she ever come back and say, hey, by the way, my prize X is gone, I'm going to file an insurance company? Was there anything she reported anything stolen?
So much of burglary oftentimes revolves around a theft, but no, nothing was reported stolen. In this case, burglary would have fit due to entering and remaining unlawfully to commit a crime on a premises, the crime being the assault. Going back to the restitution, that was one of the things that we spoke with her attorney about, was just, I'll tell you briefly the conversation with her attorney, who is somebody that I have a lot of respect for, somebody that we work with criminal defense attorneys. Everybody thinks we all hate each other, and we don't always hate each other, I guess you'd say, but we do always work together with people out of professionalism. But this attorney, when we spoke with him, I made it very clear to him that my interest in this was, ending this madness, basically, I think is the words I used. I said, this has to end. We need her to come in, come clean. We will show you the proof that we have that this did not happen. And if she will cooperate with us, this will be a much better situation. So that's what happened. There's, you start wanting to throw the book at somebody too hard, then they're going to want to go to a trial and drag this thing out forever. And, and I feel very confident that we would have won such a trial. But a jury may have, put her in jail forever. I don't know, like for a long time. So it seemed appropriate that the not to lose focus of the main goal, which was the truth. That was what I was mainly interested in. Yes, sir.
I'm almost done. So
Yeah.
this is for sheriff, right?
Okay.
I just wanted to get an idea of your side of the county line, what the investigation was like over there, how many folks that your detectives interviewed, things like that.
Absolutely, just hitting on what he said, we may have different color uniforms and our patches may be different, but the end game is the same, is to protect the Commonwealth of Kentucky and the citizens that live in Daviess and Ohio County. The night that this alleged crime took place, Sheriff Yeoman reached out to me, kind of gave me a brief synopsis of what had taken place. I told him that I would start sending units up in that area to do extra patrol in case we saw something out of the ordinary. The problem that we kept running into is, like what he was saying earlier, was people altered what they did at home. I had people come to my office and say that they didn't feel safe. They wouldn't walk no more. Some people even went as far as saying that they changed their sleeping pattern. They were sleeping during the day so they could stay up at night because they was afraid somebody's going to break into their home. I assured them during those conversations that the Daviess County Sheriff's Department was handling this with extreme, was taking this very serious and was going to come to an end on this, and I had the utmost confidence in them. And so, we assigned several people, like I said, and we were in contact with the Daviess County Sheriff's Office on a daily basis. Oftentimes, he was calling me in the middle of the night saying, hey, this is another person we may be looking at. And because of the jurisdiction, I basically said, you have open door. Come over our county. We'll come with you, and we'll do anything we can to help take care of this. Yeah.
Anything else?
And then I had a question for Mayor Mayfield, if she's able to. I kind of touched upon it already with Sheriff Youngman, but now that we can say there is no threat to the public, anything you kind of want to share with residents of Whitesville, especially because I know a lot of them have really come together during this case to share as much information as they possibly could to try to find the suspect. So anything you kind of want to add to that end?
The Whitesville residents, I'm sure when they get the word out that this is not true, they're going to feel at ease at night when they go to bed, because I had several calls at City Hall. They were worried about being at nighttime, and a lot of them went out and got cameras, and they were really scared. But right now, I think they're going to really feel at ease now. Thank you.
Anything else? All right. Well, we'll wrap this up. If anybody, you've got our numbers. Call us if anything comes up when you start going to print or editing. We'll be glad to work with you on it. But thank you for helping us get this out. Like we said, we needed the truth to come out, and it has. So thank you for getting the word out for us. All right.